on September 6th. It was a Saturday, and I woke up in the morning with stomach cramps. I was just laying in bed, and I was like, okay, what is this? I don't like what is going on here. So I assumed it was gas. And I went to my kitchen, made some peppermint tea, and when I finished it, you know, it was like around 5 o'clock hour, so it was peaceful. And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute, my stomach feels a little upset. And then I had to run to the bathroom, and it all came out, I vomited. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what this is, but this isn't good. It must be food poisoning or a virus. In any case, the stomach cramps continued. Only thing I consumed that day was sips of water. Everything I tried, Tums, I tried other juice, another tea, just other things. So basically all day I was vomiting, and the stomach cramps kept increasing. So as I continued in the day, I said, all right, so like I said, it might be food poisoning. It may be something, a virus. Let me just be cautious around people and just give it time. You know, if it's food poisoning, then I need to just go ahead and let it run its course. In the meantime, I'm Googling everything, make sure it's not appendicitis, check and see any of these symptoms. So Sunday morning comes. At this point, I can't even lay down. I couldn't sleep in my bed Saturday night. I had to sit we have a love seat at the foot of our bed. So I had to use a bunch of pillows to prop myself up to stay in that position all night because the stomach cramps had become so severe. Well, Sunday morning, I was still vomiting. And at this point, my husband's like, what are we doing? I said, all right, we're going to the ER. So we go to the ER. We get there about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'm admitted. They go through all the tests. They do everything that I need to do. And because, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to make sure I go to the ER because I was concerned about dehydration. So I go, they do everything they need to do, and they have to give me an NG tube. Now, if you are familiar with an NG tube, they have to insert it through your nose, down your throat, into your stomach. Well, the process of inserting that was horrible. Now, I'm going to give some details, some of the gory details. And the only reason I'm going to give some of the gory details is because of the magnitude of the praise, the magnitude of the testimony. I kind of want you guys to know, you know, what I went through with this. So in inserting the tube into me, my body rejected it, and more vomiting was happening, unfortunately, as they're trying to insert it. Anything that was possibly in my stomach, which was only liquid, was just coming out. It was horrible. It was painful. Like I said, if you've ever gone through that process, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's horrendous. Anyway, they finally got it in me. They got back the CT scans. I got back the CT scans. They found an obstruction in my bowels. Oh yes, I had a bowel obstruction. And that is because apparently that's a side effect of any abdominal surgery that you go through. And 3 years ago, I had a hysterectomy, a partial hysterectomy. And 3 years later, some of the scar tissue resulted in a bowel obstruction. And so now I'm dealing with this. Nothing is going through me. And now they're telling me it is most likely that I am going to need surgery and I need to get to the hospital right away. So at this time, they're calling hospitals so I can be admitted. An ambulance is on its way to the urgent care to pick me up, to transport me to the hospital right away. I get to the hospital, my local hospital, at around 1 a.m. I'm admitted. They took out the NG tube when I was at urgent care, so they had to reinsert it when I get to the hospital. Another traumatic experience. It was horrible as they were struggling, going back and forth to find a nostril that worked, that would take it, because again, my body was still trying to reject that thing. And they got it in once again, blood everywhere. It was horrible. Talked to the surgeon. He goes through the process of explaining what could be involved as they wait for a room for me to make me into the trauma center. I'm admitted, and I do the best that I can that night to try to get some sleep in between pain. They start giving me pain medicine. At this point, they're starting to pump me with morphine to manage the pain that I am in. So that's Monday. Monday morning, there's more x-rays, more tests to figure out what needs to be done. And they are, and then on Monday, they put a liquid in me that will track and see if it will go through my system, through my bowels. And once they put the liquid through the NG tube into my stomach, then I had to get an x-ray every 8 to 4 hours so that they could track it and see how it's coming along. So at this point, they're starting the x-rays. The next x-ray, that's at 3:30. The first x-ray, the next one's at 10:30, 2:30 in the morning, and 6:30. At 6:30, the doctor comes in a couple hours after that and says, look, this thing is not moving past your stomach. It is still in your stomach from 3:30 the previous day. And so you're going on the schedule for surgery today. This is Tuesday. You're gonna have to have surgery. Surgery is gonna be around 12 or 2 o'clock, it depends. I'm not on like the urgent status. So whenever, a room opens up, operating room opens up, then I will get in there. So just be mindful. At this point, start doing all the scrubbing and all the things I need to do to prep for surgery. The surgical team are in and out my room all day, preparing me, answering questions, telling me what to expect. At this point, just to let you know, mindset-wise, I was so at peace with having the surgery or not. I knew I would be okay. I was in the hands of the Most High, and I was good. And then I think around 2, they were like, okay, it's pushed back. Your surgery is not going to be until 7 o'clock that night. So again, it's just the day, just anticipating it. I had told myself when I had one of the conversations with one of the surgeons, I said, well, the next time they give me morphine, that I am going to go into a squat on my bed. Now, I was laying there and I just felt that inspired action. Squat in your bed. I needed to wait till I had the morphine because it was hard to do that with the pain I was experiencing through the abdominal cramping. But with the morphine, I would be able to do that because it would relieve the pain, of course. So let me explain what I mean by squat. Okay, so I have my husband, he props me up. I put the bed all the way up in the back, and I just position myself. I tuck my feet under, and I just get into the squat pose. Now, this is a very natural pose for us as humans. It's one of the things that we do naturally as children. But over time, we lose our mobility and our flexibility, so our ability to squat like this. But you may see in other nations, I'm in America right now talking about this, but you'll see in a lot of other places. I'm Trinidadian. I grew up watching my grandmother squat like this till there was gray in her hair. And I sit in this squat. As I told my husband, I'm gonna be sitting in this squat as often as I could prior to surgery. And that's what I felt. When I got the word that the surgery was postponed, then my husband decided to go home and freshen up and grab some stuff for me, since again, surgery won't be happening around till about 5, actually it was 5 o'clock, between 5 and 7 at this point. After he leaves, shortly after he leaves, around 3:30, out of the blue, the x-ray techs come back in. Now, remember the tracker fluid that was put into me? And they had to take x-rays about every 8 to 4 hours for 24 hours. That means there was one more x-ray to come at 3:30 that I totally forgot about. My husband forgot about. And I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication. My husband says there was. I'm assuming maybe they forgot to call off, the need for the x-ray since the surgery's already scheduled. I don't know. All I know was that the tech came in at 3:30 and took that last x-ray. When they received the results of that x-ray, the doctor came in shortly after, So let me tell you what the doctor said when she saw that x-ray results. She said, I don't know what happened, but the fluid went all the way through your bowels. Suddenly, remember, it was stuck in my stomach up until 6:30. Now, again, this 3:30 x-ray, it made its way all the way through to my bowels. And with that information, the doctor said, well, because of these new results, we're going to go ahead and put your surgery on hold. We don't need to have the surgery at this point, but we do need you to pass something to be sure. And then we'll start you on a liquid diet for dinner. Mind you, I have not had anything to eat since Friday evening, and this is now Tuesday. No food, no water is in my stomach. Everything, all the nutrients I was getting was through my IV. I was very happy for that liquid diet. I was excited about chicken broth. So as I was waiting for dinner, again, inspired action came again, the download, squat. So I'm, squatting any chance I can. And then once I started feeling a movement in my system, I went to the bathroom. Now, all right, y'all, I'm just going to keep it real again. I'm going to tell the story. Y'all can handle it. We're adults here. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm thinking, how can I squat on this toilet, right? Because again, I know the benefits of squatting. And I knew, and the doctor was like, I don't know how the thing went through my system, how this happened, but we're going to call it the surgery. We knew how it would happen because, first of all, I had praise music pumping in that hospital room when I was chilling by myself after my husband left, and I was just giving the Most High all the praise through it all. And also, I took action when I felt the urge to get into the squat. So feeling the urge again, I'm in the bathroom trying to figure out how am I going to get this squat in. I look over in the shower in my bathroom, and there's one of those those stands for the elderly or people who kind of, need more support on the toilet. So it's like a walker, but it has the base and it has a cutout hole so you can put it on top of the toilet and you can sit in it. Some of them come with a bucket at the bottom to capture, and some of them are just a hole to put over the toilet. So I have the one that's just a hole. So I'm like, ow, all right, let's do this. All right, y'all. So I proceed to take that thing, put it on top of the toilet. I climb up on it. Yes, I climb up, feet apart, and squat right on that stand, hoping I don't, it felt sturdy enough, crash down. And I sit there until I had a bowel movement. And that was something that everyone was very happy about. The nurses were celebrating, the doctors were celebrating, I was celebrating. And because that means I was one step closer to going home and they can officially call off the surgery. Continued on a liquid diet, and they had to keep me for another 24 hours for observation. So now it's Wednesday and I'm still on a liquid diet. Then they transitioned me to a solid diet of salmon, mashed potatoes, and carrots for dinner on Wednesday. They said if I can keep that down and not vomit, then I can go home that night. So yes, I was able to consume the meal, keep it down, and go home Wednesday night, giving the Most High all the praise and all the glory for this miracle in my life, for just allowing me not to go through this surgery. And here I am the following week without surgery, in a hotel, traveling with my husband and working remotely. So here's what I want to share. You see me in my squat position. I started when I was 45. I'm let's say 51 right now. I couldn't do any of this, and now I sit and a squat regularly. At 45, I had no idea that what I started then would benefit me in such a profound way medically. At the time, I did not know that it would impact me as it did mentally, because that was the number one benefit that I got out of my stretch practice. And when I began my stretching journey, was the mindset shift. A part of that shift is understanding the concept of journey, and that this earth is good, this journey of earth is good for two things: testing and learning. When I started getting sick on Saturday, I was in the house vomiting, and I remember one moment I'm still on the floor over the toilet, and I paused and I said, from the book of Job, though you slay me, I will trust you. And that was my conversation with the Most High, because gratitude in everything, the worst of the worst and the highs of the high, it's so important. It's so easy to say God is good and give him the praise when everything is going good. But it's when you're at your lowest, and I'm low here on the floor, because this is for a test. This is a test. And throughout every part of that, I gave him praise. It is so important with everything going on in life right now that our mindset is always focused on the things that we need to learn, understanding that everything is an opportunity for a test, and the purpose of the test is to elevate you to the next level. So I'm very, 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 very grateful for this test. This was an opportunity for me to elevate. And we all have opportunities to elevate. It's whether we're noticing it or not, whether we're finding glory in the story or if we're just sulking in it. I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be sad. I'm not saying that we shouldn't cry. There were definitely moments in the pain of agony I screamed. But so that doesn't mean to squash your emotions, to squash how you're feeling. Feelings can't be wrong. Feel how you feel. It's how you respond that matters. I wanted to share this, and hopefully someone will know that the God that I serve is still in the miracle working business. I'm grateful, and thank you for listening.